Welcome back, artistic ladies and gentlemen, to another Meta Monday episode in this TCGO series where we take a look at a competitive deck from the past or the present in a Pokemon TCG online meta. And today it's a Raikou Eels deck. Eels is short for Eelektrik. If you want to skip to certain parts of this video, click the annotations on the left hand side of the screen or click the timestamps in the description. Raikou is a basic Pokemon with 120 hit points. 120 HP is quite a lot for a basic, so that's pretty good already. Has got the ability Shining Body, which reduces damage by 20 if we have lightning energy attached to Raikou. Basically that gives us 140 HP as long as we have not been attacked yet. And we've also got the Thunder Lance attack, hits for 50 as the base and does 20 more damage for each lightning energy attached to this Pokemon and costs 3 colorless energy. So that means if we have 6 lightning energy attached, we are doing 6 times 20 is 120 plus 50. That's 170 damage with the Thunder Lance. That is enough to one-hit KO an EX. And if we attach a Fighting Fury Belt, which I do run 3 copies of in this deck, 3 copies of the Fighting Fury Belt, we do actually do 180 damage with the Thunder Lance if we have 6 energy attached, and that is enough to knock out EXs like Darkrai, which we will run into because this is an expanded deck, so we are in the expanded format where Darkrai, Turbo Darkrai and Yveltal is pretty popular, so getting a one-hit KO on them is much desired here with the Thunder Lance, and our Fighting Fury Belt will allow that. We also get 40 more HP from it, bringing us up to 180 HP if we include the Shining Body ability, as long as we have not been attacked, and that is pretty impressive for a basic Pokemon that is not an EX. 4 copies of Raikou in this deck, and then a 4-4 line of Tynamo and Eelektrik. Eelektrik is going to be the sidekick of Raikou here with the Dynamotor ability. Once during your turn before you attack, you may attach a lightning energy card from your discard pile to one of your benched Pokemon. So what we are going to do is we are going to be playing Battle Compressor, 3 copies of Battle Compressor, as well as Ultra Ball here, and going to be discarding energies with those cards to then accelerate them with the Dynamotor ability onto our Raikous on the bench, which hopefully have a Fighting Fury Belt attached, and that way we can put on as many energies or attach as many energies as we want to our Raikous to get the one-hit KO that we want on our opponent's Pokemon. For some decks we won't need many energies, for others that we will, like Mega Pokemon. Against Mega Pokemon, if we do run into any, we will most likely have to hit for a 2-hit KO rather than a 1-hit KO. Because it can be pretty dangerous putting all your eggs into one basket, attaching all of your energies to just one Raikou. So sometimes you don't want to go for that one hit, you want to go for the 2-hit just because it's a little bit safer. Besides Raikou and Eelektrik, we've also got a Seismitoad in this deck list. Seismitoad-EX with the Quaking Punch is going to be a counter against Night March if we run into it. Night March is not nearly as popular in expanded as it is in a standard format, but it's still being played. So if we face that, we want to get our Seismitoad in the active spot and Quaking Punch away to prevent our opponent from setting up. But also Seismitoad is a pretty great card in general against other decks like Darkrai, Darkrai Yveltal Turbo is what you could call it, because those decks make use of cards like Dark Patch and Max Elixir to accelerate energies onto their Pokemon. If we have Seismitoad in the active spot, we can prevent my opponent from using those energy acceleration item cards while we set up our Raikou on the bench with a Dynamotor from the Eelektrik. And we've also got Keldeo-EX with a Rush-In ability, which allows us to switch between our Pokemon. So if we have Seismitoad-EX in the active spot, we can rush in and then retreat into our Raikou, as well as, for example, if our opponent Lysandre's out in Eelektrik, because it does have a 2 retreat cost, and if for some reason he would not be able to knock it out, if it's a stall tactic from our opponent, we can just rush in and retreat with the Keldeo. 2 Float Stones for the Keldeo in this deck list. That's the only means of retreating that we have, except for the AZ. We also have an AZ, and an AZ is a great card in this deck because we could indeed just AZ up, for example, in Eelektrik. If it's stuck there, we don't have our Keldeo, we don't have a Float Stone in hand. It's the worst case scenario because we will have to evolve again, but at least we have that option. We can AZ up a Shaymin as well for draw support, but the main use of AZ in this deck is going to be to AZ up Raikou itself, because we don't care if we have to discard all energy attached to Raikou when we AZ it up, because we are just going to accelerate them back onto the Raikou with the Eelektrik on our bench. And just like that, we have gotten rid of all the damage onto our Raikou, can put it down again, power it up again, and deny our opponent from taking a prize card that way. That is the main purpose and the main, I would say, advantage of having AZ in this deck list. Other supporters in this deck are Hex Maniac. Hex Maniac is going to be the main counter against Trevenant Break in the expanded format item lock. We don't want to see an item lock, and we want to try to get rid of it with Hex Maniac. So we can set up more easily, so we can use our battle compressors to discard our energies, as well as our ultra balls that we will be using to discard energies, as well as our level ball to get out our Tynamo and our Eelektrik. But under item lock, if we don't have the Hex Maniac, we won't be able to use the level ball. So we'll either have to draw into the Eelektrik or even a Tynamo if we haven't gotten a Tynamo on the bench just yet. But if we have a Tynamo on the bench and we are under item lock, we could actually use Wally as well to evolve. So Wally is a supporter in this deck which helps out a little bit under item lock to get our Tynamos out, but the main use of Wally is against Archeops. If you run into Archeops, Archeops prevents us from evolving Pokemon from our hand, meaning that we won't be able to evolve into the Eelektrik, and then we really need Wally in the list here to be able to get out our Eelektrik and accelerate with our Dynamotor. Then finally there's also a Xerosic as kind of a tech supporter. Xerosic, a great counter, a great, I guess you could call it counter. Hex Maniac as well against Night March. Hex Maniac shuts off their Shaymin. Xerosic gets rid of their DCE. But it's also a very clutch card in some other matchups. For example, in testing, I used Xerosic to get rid of a Fighting Fury belt on a Darkrai EX. And that way I could one-hit KO it with my Raikou, because if it had a Fighting Fury belt attached, it had 220 hit points, and there was no way I was going to one-hit KO that Darkrai then. But using my Xerosic, I managed to discard that tool and one-shot the Darkrai, and that basically gave me the game in that particular match. And then I've also got Rough Seas in the deck to heal up our Raikous. If my opponent cannot one-shot us, which we are hoping for, then Rough Seas is going to come in handy tremendously just to heal up some damage and stay alive longer. And against Trevenant Break, against item lock with Trevenant Break, Silent Fear, Rough Seas is going to be the single greatest counter together with Hex Maniac, just to heal off those damage counters from the Silent Fear. Let's see what else is left. I think we are nearing the end of the deck analysis. There's a 4-2 split of Sycamore and N for draw support, as well as one Colress for draw support, and one Lysandre to get some easy knockouts on Shaymin from my opponent, or Yveltal-EX. If you are facing Yveltal, my opponent is going to try to attack with Darkrai, but we want to Lysandre out the Yveltals so that we can one-shot them just with 3 energy attached to our Raikou, because Yveltal is lightning weak. And I think that's indeed it for the list. Now, before I end the deck analysis, I quickly want to mention that there is a lot of Raikou Eels lists you can find online. You can find some on PokeBeach, but you can also find some on the Pokemon website itself, Pokemon.com. There's some lists there from Ryan Allred, Errol Rodriguez, and Azul Garcia Griego, which topped 8 in the regionals championships with their lists. I believe my list is most resembles Azul's list, I think. I'm not sure, I would have to have a look once again. Things you could change, however, there's some things you could change. Some people run Rayquaza together with the Raikou. Let's have a look at the Rayquaza I'm talking about. It's this Rayquaza, the promo one, black and white 47 promo, Rayquaza EX with a Dragon Burst attack, hits for 60 damage times the amount of basic lightning or fire energy that you discarded to this Pokemon. and it does take a fire and a lightning energy, so you already see the synergy with the Dynamotor from the Eelektrik. But however, if you include this Rayquaza, you will also have to include fire energies, which I do not do. I only run lightning energies, 9 lightning, and then 2 DCE. The DCE are here for our Seismitoad, for the Quaking Punch. So if we start off, we can attach a DCE. We don't have to rely on the Dynamotor to power up our Seismitoad, as well as for the Shaymin, and obviously for the Raikou itself. Raikou does accept DCEs for the Thunder Lens, but ideally we wanna attach lightning energies. Another attacker that you could include besides Rayquaza is Eelektros, the stage 2, the evolution from Eelektrik. With 140 hit points and a crush and burn attack, discard as many energy attached to your Pokemon as you like, and you do 30 damage times the amount of energy that you discarded. So discard 6 energy, you're hitting for 180. You could include the Eelektros in your deck to deal with things like Jolteon EX, because we only have basic attackers. So if you would run into Jolteon EX, we would have a little bit of trouble, to say the least. We could Lysandre out their Shaymins and stuff like that, but Jolteon EX shuts this deck down quite a bit, so having a stage 2 attacker could really help out, like this Eelektros, a non-basic attacker. I do not include it because I haven't run into a single Jolteon EX in all my testing here on the PTCGO online, but if your meta features some Jolteon EX, I would certainly advise to include 1 copy of the Eelektros. And I believe that's the most important changes you could make. You could of course switch up the supporter count a little bit, change a Sycamore for an N and things like that, but those are pretty minor changes. I do want to say one more thing here about the Tynamos. I've got a 1-3 split between the Tynamo from Next Destinies, I believe, with the Thunder Wave. It's for 10 and paralyzes the defending Pokemon if we flip heads. And then the other one hits for a Spark for 10 and then 10 damage to the opponents, to one of our opponents' benched Pokemon. Ideally, I want to include 4 Tynamos of the Next Destiny set, but I didn't have 4 of them, and I kind of felt like it would be silly to just trade for 3 Tynamos and nothing else. So I just put in some other Tynamos that I had sitting in my collection. So that's a quick note about that. You ideally want to go with these Tynamos, not the 3 others I put in. And that is going to be it for the deck analysis for today. Leave a like, press that thumbs up button if you enjoyed the deck analysis and if you enjoy the upcoming battles. If there is some expanded tournaments on, I will join an expanded tournament. If there's no expanded tournaments online, I will just have to go into the versus ladder. So I will see you in the battles in a moment. Alright, we are in the first round of the tournament against Nietzsche the Philosopher with a Water Dragon, a Psychic and a Metal deck. Nietzsche is calling the coin flip with his Dragon Coin and is going to go first most likely. Yes, he is. So this is the first round of the tournament. We start off with a Shaymin start, the one and only Shaymin in our deck. Are you freaking kidding me? And then we have an Ultra Ball, which we can get a Raikou out, but we have a really bad start here. We need a supporter for sure. This is not how we want to start off. And there is a Jirachi. So I might actually Sky Return the Shaymin into my hands. Put the Raikou down. And attach the Lightning Energy to the Raikou. Town map for my opponent. Is this Keldeo, Blastoise Keldeo. With some other Pokemon with Latios in it, maybe. So Jirachi, Latios for the Donk maybe or something like that, I don't know. Execute, so it definitely looks like something Archie's Blastoise like. Swampert, oh, interesting. Is my opponent going to Archie a Swampert? Swampert is very useful in Archie's decks since it allows you to put, the ability from Swampert allows you to put I think any cards on top of your deck. I believe that's what Swampert's ability is. And execute, so my opponent is going to try to bring his hand down to 1. Let's read the Swampert. Diving Search. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for a card. Yeah, shuffle your deck, put it on top. That's indeed what it does. What does he have in his discard pile? A VS Seeker, Super Energy Retrieval, 1 Archie, that is good, and 1 Float Stone as well. So quite some useful cards in the discard pile from my opponent. And there is the Blastoise as well. Does my opponent have the Archie in hand? He goes for a Jirachi. Maybe the Jirachi will give him the Archie. Jirachi, very easy target for us. We are going to try to Lysandre it out, get a knockout on it if we can. And there is the Archie from my opponent. Benches the Keldeo, so Archie's Blastoise, Keldeo indeed. And he brings up the Swampert, not the Blastoise. So you won't see the Blastoise just yet. You want to Lysandre out that Blastoise if we can and get a knockout on the Blastoise. Prevent my opponent from powering up that Keldeo. The Secret Sword does 20 more damage for each water energy attached to this Pokemon. Very similar to our Raikou actually. I kind of forgot to mention that in the deck analysis. But this Keldeo has a very similar attack. So we are performing some similar strategies. Both me and my opponent are trying to accelerate our energies. We do it with the stage 1. My opponent does it with the stage 2. And he's going to try to Archie that stage 2. And there he puts something on top of his deck. Ideally, I want to end my opponent right now. So he cannot get what he put on top of his deck there. He's going to attach a DCE to the Shaymin. Then discard 1 energy. No, not the Float Stone. Maybe we have to discard a Float Stone actually here. Do we discard a Float Stone or the Super Rod? We've got another Float Stone in deck. We don't have another Super Rod. I'm going to discard the Float Stone. But I will have to discard the Super Rod anyways. So what am I talking about? We need to use the computer search here. Yeah, I'm going to have to do that. And that is not what I would like to do. And we are going to end my opponent. Try to find our N. Going with a Seismitoad could actually be pretty useful as well here. Luckily we get a Tynamo, that is something. We also get a Battle Compressor. I'm not going to bench the Rough Seas just yet. Let's Battle Compress another energy, and then let's Battle Compress a Sycamore as well as a Lysandre. So we have access to the Lysandre. 1 VS Seeker. Do we only have 2 VS Seekers? 3 VS Seekers. So 1 VS Seeker is prized, it seems. And we shall hit for the Sky Return. Promotes our Raikou. Very slow start here for us. But we should be able to get into the game. In the next turn we have a Colress. I'm thinking my opponent might try to bench something else. Decides to power up the Swampert instead of the Keldeo. And Swampert can hit for 30 times 2, that's 60, 100 if my opponent can attach another energy, but I don't think he can unless... no, there's no way for my opponent to do that unless he gets out the Blastoise. I believe our N disrupted his hands quite a bit there. Because it seems like he is stuck deciding what to do. He needs to watch out for his time as well. He's taking a lot more time than we are. And there's only 11 minutes for each of us. So 11 minutes for him, 11 minutes for me. And he's down to 9 minutes. Or was it 12 minutes? 12 minutes 30 maybe? I don't remember. 12 minutes or 12 minutes 30, I believe. There is a Diving Surge. He's going to Diving Surge and maybe just pass the turn. That would be ideal. If he would just pass the turn here, that gives us a chance to power up our Raikou. What will we see? Is my opponent going to do anything else? Benches. Oh, a Black Kyurem EX, which can hit for a Black Ballista. So he must run some Lightning energies then. And puts down the Shaymin. That is a target that we want to see. The Shaymin, the Jirachi, very easy targets. Oh, and even plays a Sky Field. What kind of deck is that? That is very interesting. We are going to counter the Sky Field. I think maybe not. Let's leave those Shaymin and the Jirachi on his bench, because if we counter the Sky Field, we'll have to get rid of those. And a Giratina EX. We shall get out another Tynamo. We don't need an electric just yet. We need to search for some other Pokemon if we can. And we shall attach an energy to our Raikou. And then I'm actually going to leave all those Pokemon in play and use my Colress here. I think that's my best bet. Should I bench a Shaymin? I'm going to bench the Shaymin, draw into 2 more cards, see what I can get from that. We can counter the stadium later on. Another Raikou, that is really good. We can counter the stadium later on and get rid of the Shaymin that way. We'll attach a Fighting Fury Bell to our Raikou, and then we will Colress for... Wow, Jesus, that is a lot of cards that we are going to Colress for. Look at that. There is a Tynamo. And a Battle Compressor. Let's accelerate onto the Raikou on our bench. And let's get out another Tynamo. How many energies have we got in our discard pile? 2 energies, or only 1 now? Yeah, only 1. We'll get rid of 1 more energy in our hands. And I will also get rid of the Xerosic. We can always get that back. Get out another Eelektrik. And start accelerating some more. But we cannot evolve because I only put the Tynamo down this turn. I kind of forgot about that. And then let's have a look. We shall discard a Wally. Don't really need to see the Wally in this matchup. The Toads, maybe. Do we want to discard the Toads? Is there any point here to using the Toad? I'm going to leave it in deck for now. Discard a Battle Compressor and an energy. That should give us enough energy for now in the discard pile. Let's go with that. Thin out our deck and we shall end our turn. Our Keldeo seems to be prized, so we won't be able to rush in and retreat. That is a slight problem if our Raikou gets knocked out. Ideally, I want to hit a DCE in the next turn so we can attack with the Raikou in the active spot. If we cannot hit a DCE, then we'll have to wait another turn before we can attack. Or we can power up the Raikou on the bench and retreat the one in the active spot. We could do that, but the Raikou on the bench doesn't have a Fighting Fury Belt attached. What would I like to do? I would like to Lysandre out an easy target for my opponents, that's for sure. So that we can get rid of that Shaymin, knock it out, and then we could also Lysandre the Jirachi, and hopefully that will suffice for prizes, for easy prizes. Then we can counter the stadium with our Rough Seas and try to knock out maybe a Keldeo. I think that's our best bet. Try to hit for 170 in 1 hit. That is the ideal strategy here that I want to pull off. But I'm still tempted to just get rid of the Swampert, just because the Swampert is such a good card for my opponents to have the entire game, just to be able to put something on top of your deck that you need. And another Diving Surge. Did my opponent not top deck what he wanted then? Maybe he put the wrong thing on top of his deck or something. Because it doesn't seem to be doing all that much here. We don't really care about the Jirachi promo. We are going to let it stay alive, I think. Our priority is a Shaymin. There is the Keldeo, so my opponent is going to let us get a hit on the Keldeo, but we are not going to do that. We are going to power up the Raikou on our bench if we can. If we can evolve here because the screen froze, please don't tell me the TCGO froze. Oh, there he goes. Nearly got a heart attack there. Oh. This is such a good game, or this is looking like it's going to be such a good game. So I don't wanna disconnect here. And another energy onto the Raikou on our bench. Then we will attach an energy to the Raikou in the active spot and retreat it. We are going to retreat it. We are going to attack with the Raikou on our bench. Go for that Lysandre, get a knockout on his Shaymin. Get the first 2 prizes of the game. Bring ourselves up to speed here. And hit for, what is that, 220? Yes, 220 damage. Alright, we are looking pretty decent right now. We've got an attacker, there is our Keldeo. We've got a backup attacker on the bench. We can promote the Shaymin in the active spots if the Raikou gets knocked out. I think my opponent is trying to pull off another Archie here. I think that's what he's trying to do. How many... Yeah, he's used very little resources. We are down to 18 cards. My opponent still has 30 cards in deck. He seems to be top decking things that he can't use. What is he doing with his diving search? I don't really understand. He should be able to diving search for a useful card like a Sycamore maybe. Discard his hand if he's such a terrible hand. Dowsing Machine, alright. Discards a Mewtwo. And whatever else that was. What was that? Oh, another Swampert. And he's going to propagate the execute. Use the Ultra Ball maybe to get another Shaymin. Yes, Ultra Ball, Shaymin. I believe there is a Shaymin. He's going to try to pull off that Archie now. Not sure why he didn't go for the Archie with the Dowsing Machine. Oh, it's trainer cards. Yeah, it's a trainer card. Archie is a trainer card. Yeah, I'm not sure. Because he could have used Propagate and then pulled off the Archie that way. It seems he wants to draw into more cards first. And he benched another Shaymin there, so another easy target for us. He might just lose this game because of benching too many vulnerable Pokemon. I'm not sure if I want to go for the Shaymin or the Jirachi in the next turn. We have used how many VS Seekers? Only one VS Seeker. So we've got 2 more VS Seeker in the deck. And 1 in our hand. Yeah, we should be able to pull off this game here. And my opponent is down to 4 minutes right now. So again, he needs to watch out for time. He's going pretty slow. Lysandre onto the Eelektrik. That means we need to find our Float Stone. Ah, that's too bad. Can we find a Float Stone? Let's accelerate first. Accelerate some energies onto our Raikous. So we won't be able to... We won't be able to attack this turn on one of my opponent's Shaymin. Do I want to go for a Colress? I believe I do. Let's count it up first. We could go for the end still as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 7 cards in hand. So we have 24 cards minus 12. That would bring us down to 12 cards if I calculated that correctly. To 11 cards. Alright. 11 cards. And there is the Float Stone. So at least we can get an attack off. And we even get another Raikou as well as a Tynamo. Might as well bench those. Let's put our Float Stone on our Keldeo. Rush in. Then we shall retreat into the Raikou with the Fighting Fury belt attached. Unfortunately, we did not get a Shaymin. Did not get a... And I paused my turn there by accident. I wanted to look at my discard pile. Unfortunately, we did not get... What was I going to say? Did not get a VS Seeker. Oh my goodness, I passed my turn there by accident completely. I did not mean to do that. I wish they would take away that button from there. Oh, I hope this does not lose us the game. I really did not mean to pass my turn there. Really did not. That was just a misclick. And that will allow my opponent to potentially power up the Keldeo here. I really hope it does not. He's going to discard our Float Stone, as well as our Fighting Fury belt. A Battle Compressor, and now we might see an Archie. Yeah, oh man, I can't believe that just happened. Oh, and gets rid of 3 energy to get back with the Super Energy Retrieval. Diving Surge. Maybe he's not going to pull off the Archie then. Maybe not just yet. Or maybe he is. Just Diving Search before he does that. Yes, he does. He's going to draw into Super Energy Retrieval. There is the Blastoise. So we'll see the Raikou get destroyed, I think. Oh my goodness, I cannot believe that just happened. Propagation is down to 2 minutes, my opponent. He might actually just run out of time instead. In any case, we should be able to get a knockout on his Keldeo with the energy attached to it. We need 3 more energy on our Raikou. If our opponent knocks out our Raikou in the active spot, we can get back those energy from the discard pile with our Electrics. We'll just promote another Raikou in the active spot, attaching energy to that one, while we power up the Raikou on our bench. Hit for that one hit KO. We should be able to get another Electric out with our Ultra Ball. How many Electrics are in the discard pile? 0. And he retreats into the other Keldeo. Why does he do that? He's just wasting time now. He's down to less than 2 minutes. There's 4 energy. Is he going to try to trying to spread out the energies maybe? Put 3 on the Keldeo. He needs 3, that's 60. 60 plus 50, that's 110. He needs 5 energies on there actually. Hit for 150 minus 20, that's 130. Yeah, he needs to have 5 energies on there. That is a lot of energies. And he knows that. And we are going to get rid of those 5 energies in a second. There is a knockout on our Raikou. Oh, and my battery is running low. Let me plug in my laptop here. So we are going to promote the Raikou without any energies attached to it. And power up the Raikou on our bench. Dynamotor for 1 energy. Dynamotor for another energy. And then we shall get out the last Electric. Let's discard the Rough Seas as well as the Toad. No need for the Toad. There is the last Electric that we will evolve into for this match probably. And we are going to play our Hex Maniac. Prevent our opponent from using Deluge in the next turn. I think that's our best bet. Then we shall Dynamotor 1 more time for the 3rd energy. This is going to be the turn for us. And we shall retreat the Raikou in the active spot into our Raikou on the bench. And Hex Maniac, my opponent. This should be a knockout here. Thunder lands for the knockouts. Bring ourselves down to 2 prizes. And we still have a backup attacker ready to go. Can we get a VS Seeker, a Z and a VS Seeker? This should be game then. This should for sure be game for us. We Lysandre out my opponent Shaymin. We take the game despite just passing a turn to my opponent. Despite all that, we are going to pull this off. I believe my opponent is playing too many Pokemon in his deck to make it consistent enough. I'm not sure what that Black Kyurem is doing there. And we haven't seen a double Dragon Energy either just yet. What is Giratina doing there? It's just maybe a wall to stall against Mega Pokemon. That's probably what it is. And there is the knockouts on our Raikou. We are going to promote the Keldeo, retreated by attaching a Float Stone, a DCE. And we are going to power up the Raikou on our bench with our 3 Dynamotors. Look at that. That is amazing. And take the game. This was a very, very long game. A very long game indeed. And I think we could actually just, even if he wouldn't get a knockout here, I think my opponent would still lose. Just because he's going to time out. He's got 44 seconds left. So let's attach a DCE. Let's use a VS Seeker for a Lysandre onto the Shaymin. And close out this game. Might as well counter the stadium on top of that. Just because we can. And then we shall retreat and hit for the Thunderlands for the knockouts. Alright. Oh, what a game this was. What a game this was. I was so afraid for a moment when I clicked that button there to pass my turn. I was so afraid that I might have actually lost that game because of that. Because you never know what happens. Just passing a turn without attacking can be really can be really detrimental, can be really bad. The consequences of that, yeah, they are hard to predict, but it turned out fine for us. I think our Lysandre tactics were what paid off for us here, Lysandring out that Shaymin, getting that knockout at the start of the game and then again at the end of the game. MVP Raikou versus Swampert. We did 640 damage versus 290 for my opponent. The next round of the tournament is about to begin, so let's see who our next opponent will be. It's going to be X-Star, and Dominic is going to be facing 5_star_red. So we are close to the finals here. Can we get the win in the second round to go into the finals and earn those 5 booster packs as well as that uncommon chest? I would love so very much. I already had to waste 6 tickets on a previous tournament where I entered. I'm gonna cut that out, that previous tournament, because it literally took 30 seconds. I started off with Raikou and that was it. My hand was very bad, no supporters, just some energies, 1 VS Seeker and the Super Rod. And my opponent was playing Night March, so that was that, the first round. Instant donk from my opponent on our Raikou. Do we get to go first? We do get to go first, we shall go first. Hopefully we don't get donked in the second round here. We start off with 2 Raikous, so no donk. We have an Ultra Ball for Shaymin, unless the Shaymin is prized. Then we'll have to go with the Colress. I will Ultra Ball for a Tynamo then. And there is a Shaymin for my opponent. Let's discard an energy, another Ultra Ball, and try to find our Shaymin. Yes, Shaymin is in a deck. What I'm actually going to do is attach this Fighting Fury Belt, Shaymin, and then Ultra Ball for a Tynamo most likely. I didn't really pay attention to the type of Pokemon that my opponent is playing, so I'm not sure what he's... if it's Night March or anything like that. Do I use my Hex Maniac? I think I actually will. I'm going to attach an energy to the Raikou, and then I'm going to Hex Maniac my opponent. I know he plays Shaymin. I will slow him down from using Shaymin, from setting up hopefully. And he's got 1 less Shaymin to work with as well. He started off with 1. Oh, it's a Raticate deck. That's what it looks like. We should be fine against Raticate, because it's a 1 versus 1 prize trade. We are a lot faster than Raticate. This should be a good game for us. Hopefully my opponent benches some more Pokemon, and he does not. So what we are going to do is we are going to Colress for 5. And then we get 1 energy. That is not enough. We could get out a Tynamo. I'm going to Eelektrik. I'm going to get out an Eelektrik for sure. Oh, that's not an Eelektrik. That's a Raikou. Oh boy, I didn't mean to do that. Another misclick. That's 2 misclicks. Hopefully it stops here for today. We shall end our turn. Oh man. Well, at least we can go for another Colress. We have another VS Seeker. Ideally I want to use those VS Seekers to Lysandre out my opponent's Raticates though. So it's a bit of a waste of a VS Seeker. And a waste of energy acceleration as well, because we could have started to accelerate. It looks like my opponent is going to leave the Shaymin in the active spot. That is going to be an easy 2 prizes, unless he retreats, hits us for a Dirty Shock, and tries to discard our tool. Switches with the Olympia, interesting. And a Dirty Shock discards our tool and poisons us, which is okay. We don't really need our tool against Raticate. It's not very useful. We shall Colress for 6, hopefully get an energy. As well as a Eelektrik, and yes we do. There is our energy. This will be a knockout on the Raticate. Now we shall start accelerating onto our other Raikous. We are looking fantastic right here. Our opponent's deck is way too slow for us. Might as well get out another Eelektrik. Accelerate onto the other Raikou, just so that both have an energy attached. And then we can attack with either of the 2, because we have that DCE in hand. Look at that. our opponent isn't scared at this point in the game, I don't know what will make him, what would scare him. There is a DCE. Not much use for that DCE. A little bit of an inconvenient price there, because we would like to go with a Sycamore if we can. Unless he benches another Rattata, then we will go with a Lysandre on the Rattata. He needs to find another Rattata or it's game over here. He's giving up the game. He's sky returning his Shaymin. Now that was an easy game. That was much easier than last game. And much quicker as well. Look at that. 25 coins from the prize wheel. And a bit of experience for the challenge there. I don't think the other opponents will have finished just yet. Let's take a quick look at the stats. We dealt 110 damage. And Raikou is MVP against Shaymin-EX. Yeah, my opponent's deck was just way too slow here for us. You don't want to be facing a non-EX deck with Raticate BREAK. That very rarely pays off. Things like Night March destroyed as well completely. So we'll have to wait and see if Dominic or 5-star Red will be our final opponent, and I will be right back when they have finished their battles. Alright, that's going to be it for the first part of this week's Meta Monday episode. I'm going to be splitting up the video in two parts because the total footage time was just a little bit too long to put all in one part. You can click the video annotation on the screen to take you to part 2, or just click the link in the description. If you're wondering why I am not logged in, it's because the server is undergoing maintenance for the Fates Collide update for today. And it's been extended by I think 12 hours now, so hopefully it comes online pretty soon, because I was thinking of recording something else as well, but that won't be going down at the moment because the servers are down. I hope you have a Karp-tastic day, and I will see you in the next part.
Karp, 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 Karp. Karp, 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 Karp.